Hey Pablo, I've heard there are some great conventions abroad, but which convention do you think is the best for a cosplayer likely to attend to?
Well, I've only really been to a certain convention, and it's called AFA, or Anime Fest Asia. It's in Singapore.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and I met cosplayers not just from Singapore, but they were from Thailand, from Indonesia, from Malaysia, and all other places. So it really opened my eyes to cosplayers, around the world.
Yeah, and there's a event in Singapore, STGCC, Singapore Toys Gaming and Comic Convention.
Wow, you can remember all that?
Yeah, good.
Wow.
Yeah, we have some cosplayers there who won, Grace, Nikki, and Roy.
Ah, yes, Roy, War Machine,
Yeah,
right?
the War Machine guy. Well, it's a great event. Someday I would like to go there.
Don't worry, because since your time, they've invented something called the airplane, so you can fly from one place to another.
Really?
Yes.
So you're going to take me this year for free?
Well, only if someone doesn't get jealous. Welcome back to the Cosplay Show. Today we have a very special guest who is also a very active member of the cosplay community.
She is a very prolific blogger who is keeping the side of the world up to date with the latest in Japanese pop culture. She is also the recipient of the 2009 Philippine Blog Awards for Best Culture and Arts Blog and a finalist in the same category last year. None other than Miss Rochelle of MagneticRose.net.
Nihongo class!
Yay!
皆様どうもはじめまして。Hi guys, thanks so much for having me. My name is Rochelle. I've known these guys for I don't know a couple of years now, right? Ever since I started covering Japanese pop culture events here in the Philippines, and I'm really happy to be here on Cosplay Show.
Well, Rochelle, you've been actively blogging on J-pop news and covering related local and international events since 2009. Can you tell us how your passion for Japanese culture started?
I'm gonna sound really old by starting my story like this.
Don't worry, you won't be as old as time.
But it all started when we were in high school and we set up this underground anime community that ran films in the schools, computer laboratories. By the time we got to college, we all ended up in the same university, and from there we joined UP Diliman's Japanese organizations called UP Tomokai, Philippine-Japan Friendship Club, and from there our very helpful and very knowledgeable senpai got us into learning Japanese language, talking about Japanese culture, until eventually I ended up in Tokyo on 2 separate scholarship stints.
Wow,
and
Tokyo.
from there it became an all-encompassing passion for everything Japanese.
Wow, that's great to hear. Well, I'm a little bit curious. Why the name Magnetic Rose?
Yeah, it's a funny story again from college. There used to be an old Otomo Katsuhiro film. If you don't know who Otomo Katsuhiro is, he directed Akira.
Oh yeah, Akira.
Yeah. So he had this film called Memories, and the film was made up of 3 segments. The first one was called Magnetic Rose, the second was called Stink Bomb, and the third one was called Cannon Fodder. And they gave those as nicknames to 3 of us.
Okay.
And in case you're wondering, yes, there is a guy out there whose nickname is Cannon Fodder and Stink Bomb.
And Stink Bomb.
Stink Bomb.
Yeah, so.
Well, I'm proud to say that I am an avid follower of your blog, and I really love how you cover a lot of the J-pop related events, not only here but also abroad. Recently, aside from your recent visit to Singapore and Hong Kong, I heard you also went to Japan. So tell us, how was your trip, and what were some of the places you visited in Japan?
I went to Japan earlier this year, probably my 6th or 7th time. It was great fun. We went to a bunch of places. They include Ghibli Museum in Mitaka. Yeah, we went to the Evangelion store in Harajuku. We went to the Gundam Cafe in Akihabara. Yeah, as well as the recently reopened Gundam statue in Odaiba. Yeah, they moved it from Shiokase Park to somewhere closer. It's called Aqua Diver City.
That's the big statue of
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Whoa.
1:1, yeah.
Whoa.
And one of the new places we've been to was a butler cafe called Royal Servant in the Ikebukuro district of Tokyo.
Wow, but Butler Cafe, I'm not so familiar with that because usually here we have a maid cafe.
Maid cafe, yeah.
Yeah.
So what are the differences between the two?
For this trip, this was like the totally new thing that we went to. We went to a butler cafe, and it's quite tricky to get into. First of all, you either have to be a member of the club. They have like a membership thing for you to enter the cafe, or you have to be introduced by a current member.
So you're saying it's not open for all?
Yeah, you just can't walk in and sit down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to be introduced by a member, or like in our case, a member made reservations for the entire group, and that's why we're welcomed by the cafe.
So can Guy be a butler? Do you think it's good looking at?
There is an age requirement,
Yeah,
so
right.
I am
So not
not
really beyond
sure.
100.
I'm the manager.
No, but there is a special butler cafe reserved for ladies who prefer older gentlemen. So
Oh,
you
really?
fit right in.
So you have a chance.
Yeah,
Okay, you have a
It's
chance.
not this butler cafe, but there could be another one.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we have these pictures.
Yes.
I forgot to mention, but in a butler cafe, you're actually not allowed to take photos inside the cafe.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is the best we could come up with. We were able to get a picture of the cafe's signboard on the building outside.
And we have
Oh, that's from the Gundam Cafe.
Yes, this is from the famous Gundam Cafe in Akihabara. It's right next to the train station.
I really like the drink.
Yeah.
what do they serve in Gundam Cafe?
It's a cafe, so they serve coffee and cakes, but there are also entrees like pasta, sandwiches.
Oh,
They also serve beer if you come in pretty late at night, around 7.
How do they call the beer? Zaku beer?
Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that. That's funny that you mentioned that. They actually name the food differently.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
for example, the lattes are called Haro latte. That's why they have a
Oh, that's why
design
the
of
Haro.
in it.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
right. And the chocolate cake I had, it was called 3-colored Haro. And it had little M&M's pieces in it. That was the colors of all the 3 different Haro in the Gundam series.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe the strong drink is called Devil Gundam.
I do know that one of the strongest cocktails in there is called Char's Attack or something like that.
Charge your own
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Now I need to ask you a really tough question.
Sure.
About all the places that you've been during your recent trip to Japan, what is probably the best and has provided the newest experience for you?
As I mentioned earlier, I've been to Japan a couple of times, so some of the places we went to, it was my 2nd or 3rd visit. Yeah, but the really new thing for me in this visit is the visit to the Butler Cafe.
Oh,
Because I've heard about it a lot of times. I've always wanted to go, but like I said, you need an introduction to get into some of the best places.
Okay.
So I had to, bide my time, practice a little patience, but it was totally worth it.
Oh. Now we have these great places in Japan, but I know there's a purpose why you went to Japan and to attend the Tokyo Anime Fair 2012.
yes. Oh, I know that. It's Tokyo Anime Fair, or TAF.
Tough.
It's probably the biggest and best event to go to if you want to know the latest and greatest about the Japanese animation industry. It's also known to be one of the largest anime trade fairs, not only in Japan but throughout the world, really. And it's attended by both fans and also key players in the animation industry.
Yeah, but the sad thing, last year, due to some unfortunate circumstances such as the earthquake.
Because of the earthquake,
Yeah, TAF 2011 was cancelled. But this year it's back. So how was your visit to TAF 2012?
Yes, so I had the good fortune of going to TAF, the Tokyo Animation Festival 2012. Yeah. TAF is divided into 2 segments. It's a 4-day event. So the first 2 days are for business and press only. So that's industry people, media. And then the last 2 days are open to the public. So that's when a large portion of the fans come in.
Okay.
Yeah, so we managed to come in on business days, and it's a little, not as crowded and not as many cosplayers and not as many activities, but it's very helpful, especially if you're an event organizer or you're a licensing partner and you're looking for business partners to work it. It's very conducive to networking.
So it's really a networking thing.
Yeah,
for
it's very
people.
good for working with people in the same industry. Now, if you were looking for the crowds, the cosplayers, the excitement, then it's much better to come in on the public days.
So
Yeah, it's really a big, fun, family-oriented event.
So the public days are during the weekend.
Yes, they are.
So if Pablo and I were to go there, So Pablo will be in the business day and I'll be in the fun day.
Yeah, you'll probably have a lot more fun during the public days.
Oh, you just want to go to the bathroom.
Now, I'd like to know, since animation industry in Japan, is it bigger than the Western animation industry?
I would say that Hollywood is still the biggest motion picture industry, including animated motion pictures, in the entire world. However, Japan has such a broad expanse of studios and animation firms and merchandising firms that it feels so much bigger.
Yeah. Right.
Well, there's actually another event which is closely related to the Tokyo Anime Fair, and it's called the Anime Contents Expo. Well, how does it compare with that?
So Anime Contents Expo.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we have a program here. Yeah, we were able to attend it because it came exactly 1 week after TAF. For those who don't know the history of Anime ACE, Anime Contents Expo, it was put together by several companies who broke away from TAF and decided to put up their own convention. Yeah, it was mostly to protest strict new laws regarding adult content in animation and manga. Yeah, they saw it as like they were trying to control the content, so they said, let's just make our own convention. It'll be more fun. Yeah, so for ACE, compared to Tokyo Anime Fair, it has a better carnival atmosphere, a lot more crowds, a lot more cosplayers, a lot more merchandise for those who are into figures, that sort of thing. So, two different crowds, two different conventions, both of them very good, so I suggest that if you can make it to Tokyo, in the middle of spring, from March to April, this would be the perfect time to go.
Well, I noticed you mentioned something about ACE. Is it more for adult crowd? Is it for older crowd rather? More like guy?
Actually, I wouldn't say that. My personal impressions of the two events is that Tokyo Anime Fair is more outward looking. They're looking for new markets where they can sell Japanese animation, as opposed to ACE, wherein they're marketing towards their own fans. Like, we know that there's a trend for moe, Kiara anime, and that sort of thing. So this is oriented more towards those kinds of anime fans, as opposed to, kids who would watch Anpanman or Pokemon, who would be much more at home at Tokyo Anime Fair.
So we know where guys would go.
Well, but knowing his mental age, he'd probably fit in with the Pokemon crowd.
Do you agree?
Yeah. Pokemon.
But we have yet to talk about our most favorite topic, and of course, that's the name of the cosplay show, cosplay. Now, how do you think the Philippines cosplayers and cosplay events themselves compare to those not only in Japan, but in other places that you visited, like, for instance, Hong Kong or Singapore?
A lot of people still consider Japan as the gold standard for cosplay. But I have to say that with the level of the cosplay here in the Philippines, some of our best entries are totally on par with what they have in Japan. It's just a matter of direction. For example, in Japan, it's much popular to portray schoolgirls, fighting uniforms, yeah, that sort of thing. While here in the Philippines, there's been a trend towards mecha and armor cosplay with, LED lights and transitioning where you turn from an airplane into a car into something else entirely. So they're both great, fantastic in their own way, just, different.
Good. We talk about TAF and other events you have covered abroad. You've also covered local events, cosplay events here in the Philippines. But what makes our events and Philippine cosplayers unique and special compared to other cosplayers abroad?
I noticed that, we Filipinos, as an entire race, just really love pageantry. So we want to get up on stage, we want to show off our costume, we want to dance to the music while doing it. Well, in Japan, it's basically they set aside an open area where cosplayers and their fans and photographers can mingle.
Also, they're shyer in Japan.
I wouldn't say shyer. They do come up with some of the more daring cosplays we've seen.
Okay.
But it's just they have a different way of displaying their handiwork.
Okay.
Well, for Filipinos, it's like, oh, I have to get up on stage and I have to be on TV and everybody should see how fabulous my new Transformers costume
So
is.
is it bad for us?
I wouldn't say it's bad. Again, it's not bad, it's just different.
Oh, okay.
For us, it's the way that we express our, Philippine mentality.
Okay.
So for the Japanese, they're like, oh, I want to sit in a group and show off my costume with the rest of the group. But for the Filipinos, like, oh, I want to be up on stage. That sort of thing.
Show off my Sailor Moon to everybody.
Yes.
Showbiz. Showbiz style.
But it's not wrong, because if you consider some of the biggest competitions worldwide, like Anime Festival Asia RCC or WCS in Nagoya, there's an element of pageantry involved.
Oh.
You just don't stand there and show off your costume. There has to be an act. And that's where we Filipinos excel. There's always a story, there's always an act. Somebody's always playing a role on stage when they're in cosplay.
Well, I have a question about that. It's like, do you think that do you think that cosplay and pageants have something very similar?
Now that you've mentioned it, yeah, some elements are the same. But I think the key difference is that in pageants, in beauty pageants, it's basically face value. But in cosplay, it's more craftsmanship value.
Unless you're a guy, then it's
it doesn't really matter if you're not the prettiest girl in the bunch or you're not the most handsome person in the room. As long as your costume is pin perfect, it looks exactly like it does in the animation, then you get the raves, then you get the awards, then you get sent overseas to compete.
Well, since we're talking about international competitions, would you have any suggestions for Filipino cosplayers who would like to make it and put their own mark on some of the big international competitions abroad?
Well, first of all, I have a small confession to make. I don't actually cosplay, but I have organized a lot of competitions. As early as 2000, I've been organizing
UGG, right?
UGG, if you still remember Culture Crash Convention.
Yeah,
I've been involved in that one as well. So I like to think that I've picked up some experience along the way. And my tips for cosplayers that first of all, you just have to go all out with the creativity.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if the costume has been done before by somebody else. If you make a bigger impact than the previous guy, then it's a good thing. Then you'll get noticed. One other thing is, if your aim is for international competitions, you have to keep logistics in mind. I mean, how are you supposed to fit a 50-foot tall Godzilla costume in a box if you're supposed to take it to Singapore or to Japan or to Hong Kong to compete? So, keep your expectations reasonable. You have problems that you have to deal with that you don't normally deal with when you're cosplaying locally. And lastly, but most importantly, every win, every loss, take it as inspiration to compete. Don't sour grape. I mean, everybody loses sometimes. Like, nobody wins everything. So whether you win or you lose, you should have to take it as inspiration to do better on your next costume and your next competition.
Take it like a man. Or take it like a woman.
Wow, you really know your stuff. I'm speechless.
Well, we have to wrap it up now. But I'd like to say that I've learned so much from our guest today. All this talk about events abroad has made me really excited. And I'm thinking, let's take a trip, somewhere.
No problem, no problem. As long as you're going to include me in your trip. Would you have any last words to your blog readers or to everybody there?
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody at the Cosplay Show, Pablo, Guy, and the rest of the staff. They've been so nice, and I'm really honored to be here with you guys today. I'd like to thank everybody watching the Cosplay Show. Please watch the rest of the season. Keep cosplaying. I'd like to thank everybody who reads my blog, magneticrose.net, as well as people who've been on Facebook, our fan page, and on Twitter, our accounts. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you guys real soon. We'll be at Vogue Fusion 20th May at the SMX, as well as 29th September for Cosplay Mania. So I'm looking forward to see you guys there. Drop by the booths. Who knows, we might have a lot of giveaways for you. So thanks again, Pablo, Guy, and thanks so much for having me.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Rochelle of Magnetic Rose. .net for taking the time and sharing your experience with us today.
When we come back, we are still talking all things about international as we give a review on an awesome international cosplay magazine.
Wow, yeah.
Cosplay Gen.
Cosplay Gen magazine.
Thumbs up for cosplay.
Welcome back, everyone, and as promised, we are now going to talk about Cosplay Gen magazine.
Well, I have to admit, Pablo, I'm an old-fashioned guy. And I prefer these printed materials, those have pictures, rather than internet images. And that's why this magazine is a must-have.
And like Cosplay Snapshots Project, Cosplay Gen Worldwide Cosplay Magazine is a great magazine that you can purchase from our very own Cos Shop.
Yeah, for those of you who want to read and see great cosplayers from around the world, and I really mean around the world, like Russia, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and even in the Philippines, Cosplay Gen is the magazine to add to your collection.
To date, Cosplay Gen already has 4 issues released and is coming up with a 5th. So our friends at Cosplay Gen have given us a sneak peek of issue number 5, which I heard includes coverage of a very special event. Do you know what that event is? But before that, we have some of our previous issues with us right here.
Yeah. Issue 1 had features on 4 high-profile cosplayers, including an interview with Jasuke. Here she is.
Oh, she's the cosplayer who's one of the special guests in Vocal Fusion just a few days from now.
Yes, yes. See, it has lots of pictures of her cosplay costumes.
Oh, yes. They're different from different games and different anime. So it's a very, very nice collage of her photos.
And also, issue 1 has an article about lighting in cosplay photography. This is for those shutterbugs, you know. So this will help you a lot if you're, especially if you're a cosplay photographer.
Yes. And I forgot to mention that what I really like about Cosplay Gen magazine is that the paper stock is really nice. The paper quality. It's not the the newsprint.
Yes,
that sometimes you get. The pictures are very, very, very clear.
Yeah, so it will help you a lot if you're making a costume.
And it's really in depth. They tell you how to make the costumes. Step by step.
Yes, yes.
They show you all the issues about cosplaying. They hear straight from the cosplayers, and it doesn't go into tangents about other things, but it focuses really on cosplayers and cosplay.
So this will really help you if you're a cosplayer, especially if you make your costumes.
Yes, definitely, it will definitely help for that. And you know what? Issue number 2, it gets even better because it's even thicker. And there's even more interviews. There's interviews of Sky, Kanda Midori, Shan Huang, and also our very own Monique Demand League.
Yeah, I know her. She's the cosplayer who wears those beautiful kimonos.
Yes, she's usually dressed as a geisha.
Yes.
So she's very, very beautiful, and very, 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 very elegant. The magazine also discusses, you had your own thing about camera lighting, right?
Yeah.
Now they discuss camera lenses. Not only that, they also discuss J fashion styles. We even have event reviews about Cosfest in Singapore, where our own, Lyron Aquino and Giago, where they participated in that contest.
Yeah.
There's a review here on that event. And we also have Anime Expo, that's from the US. So there's a lot of things. This magazine is really jam-packed with information and cosplay.
So this is a must-have for all cosplayers. And also we have issue 3, and we have a video of that.
Okay, can you take a look at that? Okay, so here's the cover of Cosplay Gen issue 3.
Wow, look at that. So beautiful.
Yes, this is Kalsara, and she's actually from Denmark. And as you can see, they also have information like the number of years the person has cosplayed, and they also show where you can see their other photos.
Okay. And we have here from the US.
Yes, from the US. So it's a really nice way to get to know different cosplayers from all over the world. And here's another article. This is underwater photography.
Really? They have that?
Yes. So you get an idea of how to do photographs from underwater.
Creative shots.
Yes. And we also have the interviews from people all over the world. So cosplayers from all over the world. Like for instance, here's somebody who's from UK, Hong Kong, and China.
Wow. And here's a really nice prop. Do it yourself.
Yeah, this is Cassandra's sword. So it's one of the most famous weapons in cosplay.
So it will really help you a lot if you're making those props.
Of course, we had a character from Japan who's 20 years. Who's been cosplaying for 20 years.
Look at this. It's Samus.
Yeah, by Pixel Ninja.
Wow. Look at that.
And this is from California. And this is Vicky Bunny Angel. And you can see all of their costumes are so intricate. They're so detailed. This is from Korea, and a lot of them have a really long experience in
No,
cosplay.
the shots are really
Yeah,
clear.
and, and you look at this. Here's an article about cinematic photography.
Oh, okay.
And that's how you really produce, you know, the kind of pictures from movies.
So if you're a photographer, this will really help you a lot.
Yes.
Oh, look at that.
Here's another do-it-yourself, and it's, you know, they also have a makeup. This is a makeup tutorial basically, so it's not just props.
Okay. Here's another one.
Yeah, from Singapore this time.
Wow, we can see that.
And their props are really impressive if you take a look at it. And the interviews are really in depth, so you find out more about them and more about how they make their cosplays, how they pose for photos, everything about that.
So clear, so you can see the details. Of
Yes, and
costumes.
the photos are really, you know, eye-popping.
Yes.
And it's really nice because the materials really pop out on the page.
Here's
So the
from-
colors are really, really
Here's
clear.
from Pokemon.
Yeah, from Pokemon. And
Wow.
she's from Russia!
Oh, really?
Yeah, from Russia. So it's really a worldwide magazine.
So it's a must-have magazine.
Yes. And there you have it, issue number 3. And you know what? There's even more because we have the latest issue, which is issue number 4. Let's take a look at issue number 4. Do you see who's on the cover?
Yes, that's Kaname. Wow.
Yes, he's actually the big guest who's coming to here in the Philippines for Cosplay Mania.
Wow, I'm so excited.
Yes. And as usual, Cosplay Gen issue number 4 is very, very image intensive.
Yeah, I noticed that.
It's very, very full of colorful images and artistically taken photos. So, and we also have event reviews.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look at that.
here we have an event review about an event in Sydney.
Yeah, I know.
It's
There's
called Supernova.
Yeah, I know. There are many cosplay events in Singapore, in Asia, but this is the first time I saw a cosplay event in Sydney, Australia.
Yes, so this really covers it. So you get an idea of how cosplay is in
Oh.
other places in the country. We also have, as usual, cosplayer profiles, and I really love these profiles because you get to know the cosplayers even though they're so far away.
And look, there's a hairstyling, wig styling
Tutorial.
Wow,
Yeah.
tutorial.
So it shows you step by step how to style wigs, and that's very, very important because usually it's very difficult to find a wig that really suits the character that you want. And we also have other interviews from people all over the world. Here we have a special interview, of course.
Wait, Kaname.
Who is that?
Wow,
That's Kaname. That's Kaname. And he tells you what his experiences are. You know, you get to know him so that when he gets here, you won't act like an idiot. You know, you'll know what to talk to him about.
So I have no reason to buy that magazine.
Yes,
because
so that
Kaname
you
is
get to
coming.
know him
Yes.
before he gets here. And also we have the community choice contest. They have a collage of some of the best submissions from all over the world.
And who won?
I think Yu Shimura.
Oh.
So it's a very big contest, and as usual, you have a lot of tutorials, a lot of
Yes.
articles, a lot of things to really see in issue number 4. And it's a great issue, especially it's a great idea to try to collect the entire set.
Wow, this is a must-have magazine.
Definitely a must-have magazine.
Whoa! Issue number 1, 2, 3, and 4 are great, but here's an appetizer. Here's a sneak peek of issue 5.
Wow. Okay, if you take a look at the cover, it's a very, very interesting photo.
Yes.
I'm not really sure who that is. In fact, if you notice, they hide the identity of that person.
Whoa.
That's because they have a special contest.
Whoa.
If you find out who he or she is, you can win a special prize, which is a free magazine.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yes. So that's really an issue to look forward to.
Okay, wow.
For those who want to get their hands on Cosplay Gen, issue number 1 is now available in digital format, absolutely free.
Other issues are still available at the cost shop. Visit shop.cosplay.ph to order. Each issue is printed in limited quantities, so be sure to get your copy from us real soon.
The Cosplay Gen retails at 800 pesos only, and this includes free shipping for all buyers in the Philippines via the Cost Shop online store that we mentioned
Yes.
earlier. So please check it out.
Alright, this concludes this week's episode of the Cosplay Show.
We'd like to thank our producer, Zenith, video editor and animator, Jason Tapel, our marketing director, Henry De Dios, assistant director, John Magat Jr., and of course, our director, the one and only Alex K. Sibog. We'd also like to thank Irving Go for providing our lights, and of course, we'd like to thank our very special guest today, Miss Rochelle of MagneticRose.net, for gracing the show.
Advertising opportunities are still available for the show, so if you'd like to advertise with us or you would like us to review your cosplay related product, please email us at hdjos@cosplay.ph.
Again, this is Pablo Byron
And Guy Singson!
Until next week, good night and keep cosplaying!